what do you do TikTok? So I'm South African. I think I've said that before. But we just had our elections this past week, and it's been so fucking interesting seeing how the rest of the continent, meaning Africa, is just like reacting to how South Africans did not vote for Julius Malema. Uh, just should I give a disclaimer? I mean, I gave him like our provincial vote. I gave the EFF my provincial vote. I'll say that much. But like, it's crazy. Like, why are they so mad? Okay, I know why they're so mad, but I think I underestimated um how visceral their reaction would be. I think I knew they actually evolved because they love Julius Malema. He does travel the continent, and he probably gets a lot of money from like African oligarchs and African business people who are pro opening up more South Africa more for the rest of the continent, which is like not a bad thing. I think in my core I'm a Pan Africanist. I just sometimes I'm limited by my own personal experiences and my own lived experiences and like personal anecdotes, right? So for example, like we everybody knows South Africa has like the highest youth unemployment rate in the world, at least in the recorded world. Like we have the highest youth unemployment, and I'm an unemployed graduate myself, right? And on top of that, we are the most unequal country in the world. Not the poorest, but the most unequal, meaning the gap between the richest and the poorest is the widest in the world. Meaning, if you're in Cape Town compared to if you're in just Cali down the road, or if you're in Santon compared to Alex, literally a kilometer away, right? Like you would find the richest people, some of the richest people in the world, and some of the poorest people in the world in the same space. That's just like the half of it, right? There's a lot more in overwhelmed government systems, also due to an inept and corrupt government. But like with everything that we complain about in our country, we're still like the best option on the continent. That's for me, that's and also being the youngest country on the continent. And I know about colonialism and neo-colonialism, but I think that really, really should speak to something, you know, in the same way that they're frustrated that Julius Malema, with his brilliance, got so little votes. It's like, yo, with Africa and all its brilliance, South Africa, the youngest country on the continent, is our best option. We don't even own our land, guys. Like I said, this that's just half of it. Black South Africans own less than 13% of the land. Yet the rest of the black continent feels like that's the best place for them to go. Jeez, man. Like, for me, that's just that. Hey, that's sad for the continent. I think that's just it. It's an indictment on the continent. It's an indictment on Zimbabwe. It's an indictment on Botswana. It's an indictment on Ghana. It's an indictment on Nigeria, countries that have been liberated for longer, where African people probably own the land. But it's like, yo, South Africa is still our best option as Africans. So not my solution. Nah, I like yo, these people are mad, man. And I'm like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I think the solution to what, like, yes, there's imperialism in the rest of the country, the same way there's imperialism in this country too, right? I think as Africans, we really, really need to find a few countries, maybe one in every region, and make those countries the alternative for South Africa. That's my solution. In Southern Africa, like I think Zimbabwe and Botswana are wonderful options. Botswana is actually probably even the best, but Zimbabwe and Botswana are the best options because of Zimbabwe's like pro-black politics. In West Africa, I think these new countries that just popped up from these coups. Well, I'm not gonna say new countries, but these new administrations that came through from these coups are seemingly super pro-black, super pan-Africanist. Those are ones we can make as alternative South Africa. Yeah, yes, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and the other country that also had a coup. That's the options in West Africa. Say less about Ghana and Nigeria, right? And in East Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, and as much as we don't like Paul Kagame, Rwanda, like we don't like Cyril here neither, bruv. But those are African countries with a lot of potential, and I think as African citizens, as the youth, that's where we should be going because there we can own the land, there we can have pro-black policies, there we can fight for the liberation of Africa using those as our liberated zones to copy from Kwame Nkrumah, and use those liberated zones to liberate the rest of Africa, at least economically, because politically we're somewhat liberated, I get. So let's use those as our centers for economic development, and then use those. Yo, Senegal, guys, I think I mentioned it too, but yeah, I didn't go through a coup, but they just also had a change of government. Young, awesome, forward-thinking president. So like those are countries because they were probably open to us. They're pro-black. There's room for us to actually own things and grow there. A lot more room than there is in South Africa, guys. I'm telling you. Not to say that there's no opportunities in South Africa. I still believe South Africa will be one of the richest countries in the world for the next 15, 20 years, if not longer. But politically and otherwise, like there's no room, guys. Like I'm here. I'm telling you guys, there's no room. There really isn't. Like we're choking. We really are. We really are choking as South African youth. We really are like guys. So like you're dealing space in other countries, make space for us in other countries, make those other countries function better than South Africa, turn those into first class countries. And we can also come and look for jobs because, as you said, we don't own any land and we ain't got shit, you know? So I think this weird back and forth about people thinking South Africans hate them, it's unfair. It's very tone deaf, you know, to the struggles that we have as African citizens, our high crime rate, our high drug use, abuse, our high youth unemployment, high human trafficking cases, rape, all of these things that we have as issues. And we're just like, yo, can we just get some space like to deal with our issues? we just like we're rushed. We're 30 years old and we feel like, oh, we maybe bit off more than we can chew. That's just the God's honest truth. And we just like wanna catch our breath a little bit. And we will actively work in other countries to make those the liberated zones that can be the centers for African development. That's my TikTok. I'm coming with another one.